That was so fun how we met. We'll talk about that when you push record.
It's amazing. Right, record. We're on. Hey, Cheryl. Welcome to a deeper conversation. Cheryl from Front Row Seats. So, Cheryl, the reason you're here today for me, you obviously spoke at the end of the conversation with me and Martin, and it was just fantastic. It just summed up the whole conversation perfectly. You were speaking about consciousness and trauma and everything that I speak about on the channel. So really, it just struck a chord with me straight away that we've got to speak. You know what I mean? So today, I'm unsure where the conversation is going to go, but that's what I like. You know, just leaving it free. Maybe we'll go down the consciousness route. Maybe touch on trauma, personality, ego, the self, problems in the world, and I'll leave the stage to you, my friend, Cheryl.
Well, hello, Chad. It's so good to see you again. When I first met you, it was really interesting because I didn't expect that at all. I was just sitting there, and then the camera turns around, and it's like, "What do you think?" And I went, I had been listening to the conversation, and I just thought, what a wonderful chat that y'all had in talking about moving forward with your life and ways to deal with the past in a way that it's not so traumatizing anymore, because the things that happen to us, some things that traumatize us, what happens is it puts these like stickers in us, and trying to work around and figure those out is your freedom. It's your road to freedom, to get out of those places and just kind of let that stuff go, even though there's no books on it, there's no handbooks. I have found in my personal experience that a lot of the ways that these inner deep self things are dealt with and talked about are, I'm not going to say incorrect, but like talk therapy, if you go in and you're always just talking about the stuff, it's not good for us, because you're just reactivating all of that stuff over and over again. I think, if we can just get outside of it and talk about other things and not reactivating it over and over again, because the less we think about things, the less they come up and the less vibration we have of that, because our awareness is currency. Our awareness on what we are paying attention to is what we're going to get in our lives. We get what we think about, whether we want it or not. And that's what this place does. I've seen it over and over again. I'll catch myself thinking about something, and then there it is. And I say, oh, darn. But sometimes when we're in struggle and we're learning, it's going to happen, and we're going to get some of those things that we don't want. But we need that struggle so that we can grow past it. And growing is also healing, I think, at the same end. You're healing this thing here, and then that propels you, and you're moving forward out of those vibrations that you've been in for so long, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's all wrong, but I think that I was able to get more work done when I started looking at it a little different and say, okay, this is about me, because the experiences that I was getting kept being the same theme. And that's when I started, something weird's going on here. And so I started looking around, and I found Tom Campbell's work. He wrote the book, My Big Toe. And in that book, he is a simulationist. He talks about simulation theory. But the biggest takeaway from all of his work is that fear is the problem and love is the answer. And so anytime, I have the evidence in my personal experience, anytime something was upsetting me or making me want to think bad, ugly things, it was because there was a fear it was stemming from. And I kept trying to find, I knew that those other people out there were doing stuff to me. I just knew they were. But then when I drilled down into it deeper, it's like, now wait a minute, they're not doing anything to me. That's who they are, and that's how they are. So if they're having a bad day, for instance, and I come up and I'm at a red light and I don't take off right in time, and then they start honking real loud, and then they're just having a bad day. That has nothing to do with me. But if I then get upset, that's about me. And there's something underneath that. If I get upset, that means that I've got a fear in there. It's like, oh, well, I have a fear. This person's honking at me. Oh, I'm not doing the right thing, and all of that. But it's the other way around. It's that they're having a hard time with something. They're in struggle. So I don't want to make their struggle worse and lay on the horn and flip the bird and then drive off.
Mhm.
I want to ease that as much as I can. So I just am going to just kind of get out of their way and let them do what they're doing. So once I started realizing that when I was getting upset, it had nothing to do with anybody else but me and my fears that I carried.
Yeah.
Doing fear work for 10 years now. Since I found that work, every time it would come up, I would look at it. What's happening? Either it would be a big dog. I had a bad fear of big dogs. And in my experience, I had big dogs coming out of everywhere. And I would ask people, do you have big dogs just off their leash, like running towards you all the time? I mean, this was happening probably at least once a week. And it was obvious to me. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm afraid of them. That's why. I'm afraid of them. That's why I'm creating this in my experience. Because I started drilling down deeper. It's like, wait a minute. What if this reality is nothing but a mirror of how I feel, what I think about, who I think about, where I'm focusing my attention? What if my focus and my attention is going out there, hitting a mirror, and then the reality is doing that? And I found some big examples that it was doing that.
And it can work both ways, Kylie. We can draw fear, and we can draw manifestations into our life. It's the same essence.
Yeah.
Am I lagging quite a lot? Am I lagging to you?
Just a little bit, but it's not quite a lot. I wouldn't say that.
I don't think there's anything I could do about it, is there really? So love and fear, the two spectrums, the two poles, like two ends of a battery. We can manifest, we can pull either way.
Yes.
Like just going back to things you were saying before, like I work with ex-offenders, don't I? So, you know, when I'm working with them and a lot of the attitudes and the behaviors, the way they come across, remember stereotype as well. And when I'm working with them, I know it's just trauma. It's just they're hurt and they've been through trauma experience, and there's a defense mechanism in place, and that's why they're acting the way they're acting. It's not because of me or anything personal to do with me. So that's just an example, you know. So working with like people like that, you really get to see it, and you have to take that thing away from you and make it person centered to a degree, where you're taking their opinion and you see, do you know what I mean? You're seeing their side of it. It's not about you, nothing is. But that's the way we think, don't it? When we're walking down the street and someone pulls a face at us, or they, you know, they don't like, what they think because I'm black. I don't know. For everyone, it could be something different. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever your insecurity is, it's going to wash them out to what they don't like you or why they're looking at you weird. You're exactly right. And
what if they just had some indigestion? Yes. So if you have an insecurity, then what that's going to do is, I have these insecurities about myself. And then what our mind tends to do, it tends to make things up from our past experiences. And that may not be what's happening right then. You kind of got to give it a minute. Say, wait a minute, is that what's really going on here? Because it's making it up from past experiences. It's just pattern matching. It's like, okay, the last time somebody looked at me like that was right before my neighbor come out screaming at me because of something in my yard.
Yeah.
But that person may not be looking at you because of anything other than they may have stumped their toe or they've got indigestion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it can also be from visual experience, I feel. So, you know, like when they've learned something on the TV, or they've watched something and they hear about, say, a certain type of person, and it can even be programmed into you to have a certain, do you know what I mean? Fear of things. It's like when 9/11 happened, and with certain races and different things, these things come from the media, don't they? And external influence.
They do. They do. And that's media is it's not a good positive thing for our minds to be in placing our awareness on. And I think everything here is a learning tool for us as consciousness, as energy beings. I think that even those things, the media that's doing all these bad things, well, what is that going to do? Well, it's going to teach people. It's going to teach people that if they believe everything they hear, their perception is going to get off, and it's going to keep moving farther and farther away from reality. And then their reality is not going to make sense to them anymore. So then they're going to have to come back to the self and go, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I listening to what other people say? That's not the experience that I'm having. So one of the rules that I took to really early on is only basing my perception on my lived experience. If it's not my experience, it's not my truth. I cannot, base my perception and how I view the world on what someone says or what someone's opinion is. I have to base that on my experiences. Have I had experience with that? Is that true for me? Can I find, what can I see in this that might be true? I don't know. I'll have to either pull from my experience, or I need to do further research and make sure that this is true before I believe it. Because belief also is a technology. Everything that we believe, that shapes our reality. So there's that.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Like what you were saying earlier about the books and it turning it into, because as well, like, consciousness, God, all of that kind of stuff. At one point for me, it was theory, it was books, which I were reading. I love the idea and the concept of it. I love the philosophy, the fear of it. And then one day, boom, I connected to it and I actually experienced it for myself. So now when I speak about consciousness and all is one and all of this stuff, I ain't talking about it because someone on the TV said it. I've read it in a book. I've actually experienced it.
Yeah.
And although I can't explain to you, you know what I'm trying to say, because he's unexplainable. That's what, so you can just laugh about it. That's the best thing in it. But yeah.
And we I think all of us, we've had these experiences that are, that's not supposed to work that way, and that's not how this place works. But when you have an experience like that just goes all the way in, it, you can feel it, and that there is something deeper than what we can see physically. You can feel that there is an energy being within you, the immortal within, whatever you want to call it. There is something there that is very, very powerful. And a lot, I think, in this world is, maintaining, keeping your own power. I think that, we start seeing how powerful we are. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's too intense. I think I'm just going to put that off over here and give other people my power so that I don't have to deal with it, because that's just too much.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, the consciousness power, the God power, the divine power, it shouldn't be used by the personality. It's hard to explain, but when it's attached to the personality, the person, it becomes I am powerful, like the I am everything. And then from there, I feel like that the man side of the two brains, the devil, the wants and desires come to play, and it just fucks things up, if I put it plainly. Do you know what I mean? So when like what I do, it's not actually me, like it's working through me, and I give the power of that behind Chad, if that makes sense. It's like, so there's never personal control of it in terms of it's mine. Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
I see what you're saying, and that what I meant by we have power. I think
no, I'm not contradicting you. I'm just I'm actually agreeing with what you're saying.
Right, right, right. I don't think it's me. I think that
Yeah.
I think it's just all the energy that's here, and I think that it's energy, and we're all connected to it on a fundamental level. It's within all of us. It's a big energy, and we're all connected
Yeah.
to it. I don't think I'm it, and that I'm God, and that everything's revolving
Oh
around me.
no, no.
No,
Oh,
I don't think.
no
I just
way.
wanted to clarify that.
Of course. But like my example would be, the guy at Wacko. People that believe that Jesus Christ all of a sudden, and everyone else is lower than them. You're not that. But like, I was just giving an example of when it can be very dangerous, and I suppose what you're talking about is the cleaning process, and what you were first talking about, like almost, which allows that to work in a loving way, and a way to help people, and a
Yes,
giving way rather than a taking way and a control way.
yes,
So and you can tell that in person. A lot of us aren't using it for ourselves necessarily. It's to try and help something, where a lot of people use it for themselves, and it can be used anyway. That
yeah,
power.
yep. And the more
You,
you bring, when you're bringing more caring and kindness to other people, and those are the ways that we can assist others, because we're all struggling. We all have our struggles here, because we're trying to learn and grow, and growth has to have struggle. We have to struggle to grow, because we don't know. And so as you're learning, it's like a little 2-year-old learning to walk, right? Well, what does it do? It gets up, walks 2 steps, falls down, cracks its head on the coffee table. And I know every 2-year-old has that big dent in their forehead from,
yeah,
going
yeah,
through all of that. And I think it's the same with the evolution of our consciousness, the consciousness that's here. I think it's the same. We struggle, then we can see more into it and say, oh, I see what's going on here. When I am in fear, and that's self-focused, and that's focusing on me. But when I'm caring about others and focusing outwards towards other people, and with care and love, that's about others. So see, it's two ways to look at it. One's based in fear, one's based in love. So it's that learning how to choose love and move
yeah.
away from that fear. Yeah.
You know, what the awakening sometimes does is allows you to see yourself in other people. So I think that helps as well, because it's not like I'm having to help others. I'm helping myself. Like, like the same energy that runs through me runs through every single person. So when I look in your eyes, I can see the energy that's in me and you, and it's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely wonderful. So, like, it's really cool. It's so dual. Like, you're helping others, but at the same time, you're helping yourself.
Yes.
And but you are helping yourself by helping others anyway, because
Yes.
you are. It's self-fulfilling, but it's higher than that too.
Well, that's why we have to have these relationships with other people. The more relationships you have with other people, those are the mirrors that you see yourself in. They're reflecting you back to you, and vice versa. And we all do that with each other. And I had a long talk with someone about this aspect of it, of how necessary our connections with other people are for us to grow. It's so necessary that we can't grow without it. Say, for instance, a person isolates themselves, doesn't talk to anybody, and they don't want to interact, because sometimes you get into that interaction struggle with others, and they don't want to do it because it's just so uncomfortable. And I've met a lot of introverts that are this way. They're like, no. But what happens is it causes your growth to become a standstill. We have to have others so that we can see ourselves. You got to know where you're at, so you know where to go, right? And so when these interactions with other people, if you're just open to the experience, let it come in. Okay, what's happening here? Because they're mirroring you back to you, and you're mirroring them back to them. And so, you just got to take it, one step at a time, and you're going to get the uglies that are in you back. You're going to get that. But it's like, yes, that's good, because now I can see that aspect of myself where I could not see that before, because we have this ego in here that is really nifty, This little thing is smart, and it can hide all of your blemishes from you, and it will lie to you. It'll tell you, oh no, you're good. You are justified in being a jerk to that person. They so deserve it. You know they do. You know, and it's gonna help them if I attack them and be mean. This is going to help them. No, it's not. and your ego is lying to you again. And the ego is just there to it would help defended us when we were young, and it was just trying to lift us up when we felt down and all of those things, or we had a trauma that made it get a little too big. And so you just got to talk to the ego. It's like, okay, look, ego, I know you're there, we're cool. But you're going to have to go sit down in this interaction because you're not helping you right now.
And it happens to us all. Do you know what I mean? To live in this plane, you've got to have one. So the experience that I talk about with awakening and everything, your ego goes in those moments. Of course it does. But to survive in this plane, you have to have some sort of I, don't you? So and that's going to need, to a degree, that remembrance and awareness. You know what I mean? Because you're surrounded by temptation, by desire, by one, aren't you? So it's easy to get to potentially get swayed. But the people that, I suppose, if you work on yourself long enough and there's enough balance, that structure maintains itself. And when that thought process comes and the decision process comes, you tend to make the one which you trained yourself to make because you're aware of the programming and what it's trying to do to you. So it is an armor, it is a strength, isn't it? But it's still susceptible.
Yes. And I've noticed too in my journey here that the areas that I'm weak in and the areas that I'm working on, those are the most of the experiences that come to me, and I'll walk into a setting and then here's this experience and I can look at it now and I'm getting better at it, where I can see, okay, this scene here, okay, there's a little bit of the aspect of how I felt within my family. I can feel that here. And that's what this big feeling coming up is. Okay, my mind is pattern matched this, but or is it that, it's a reflection, right? So I'm looking out, that experience, it's a reflection of how I feel about certain situations when I'm interacting with others. For instance, if I see someone treat someone else in an ugly way, well, if I had experienced that a lot as a child in those similar ways, it's almost like the situation will set it up just right, not to where it throws me over the cliff, but where it just nudges that to the forefront, where I can look at it some more, say, yeah, that did make me feel that way, and that was hurtful. Yeah, it was. And they didn't mean to hurt you in those ways. They were hurt themselves. See, and then that's part that then I go into that healing place of healing that part. And then each time I do that, I get a little better at it. And then I'll get another experience where there it is again. And then I get more chances to work on it. And so without those chances to work on it, well, we'd still be stuck again.
Bang on, isn't it? Yeah, that's why everything. I'm never against trauma or the downside, because I understand life at the end of it. I feel that that's my explanation to it. And for that, you've got to have that and that for it to work. You've got to have something to compare it to, something opposite to it. And that only helps that, even though it contradicts that. It's this weird game with each other, isn't it? Like they're going, oh, it's like weird sex or something. It's a weird dance.
It is a weird dance, and in those moments, in those moments, I can feel it. It's like, oh, this is my stuff. I know it is. Oh, it is. But there is that other little part of me going, well, well, if they just weren't acting like that wouldn't be a problem right now. It's like, well, if they would understand, I'm just a mirror, I'm not doing anything to you that, this is bringing up something that's already in you. It's not me, it's yours. But there's no reason for that. And there's no need to understand it, but there is that side of it, So you're right. I felt that a lot, and I can feel it shifting back and forth. And it's like, nope, wait a minute. That's not about me. That's That's about them. That part is. But this part here, that's so familiar. I know this place is mine. Yeah.
I laugh at myself a lot. Do you? I laugh. When I catch myself, you got to laugh. It's like, what are you?
What are you doing?
You know, it nearly started a fight then.
I have laughed at myself, and there was an experience I had not too long ago where I had those feelings came up. I went and I recognized probably 3 seconds. It took me a minute. It's like, wait a minute, this is familiar. This is a familiar vibe. Oh, it's that one. Okay. And I looked up and I said, excuse me, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to take a time out. I will be back. And I learned that if I just excuse myself from the situation, excuse me, I've stumped my toe. I need to go over here and check myself and go through, a process and I'll get back with you on this situation. I'll see you in a little while. And if you excuse yourself from those situations, they don't continue to escalate. It stops right there. Then I've taken responsibility for it. Then they know that I'm not having a problem with them. And once you get really good at saying, you know what, this is about me. It has nothing to do with you. It lets them off the hook, and it helps you to take responsibility for your part in that scene, right?
Yeah, man.
And it feels good. Man. Oh, and they love it when they get let off the hook. And I've got friends now, when it comes up, they just laugh. And we both start laughing. So yeah, there it is. And they know that I'm not going to, jump all over them and row with them over something, because if I'm that upset, I know that it's something in me that's causing that. It's not them. And they love it when they're off the hook. They're like, then they step out the room. Woo, not me.
Because most of it's bullshit stuff anyway, isn't it? Like, let's talk about, like, most subjects, especially like in America and stuff, it might be, say, political.
Oh no.
I don't know. Or like, there's all, the way I see it, regardless, there's just two sides to everything. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a standpoint and you're going to find a lot of people with the same, but a lot of people the other side. And because of that other side, no matter what situation you come in, there's always going to be that, okay, so you're Trump in your philosophy, in your structure of your character, and they're Biden, and straight away this conversation comes. And it's a conflict, isn't it? It's a conflict. So it's how you handle that conflict, because it's separation and it's different. It's the same whether someone likes peanut butter and jelly or they don't like peanut butter and jelly. It doesn't matter what it is. Meat eaters versus vegans, so, and I think it's seeing that as well, Sharon. I can see you see that. You know what I mean? It's everything. And as long as you know in yourself that you've got an opinion and that other people can have one, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can eat peanut butter and jelly and I don't. That's cool.
Without this, what better way for people to interact in these levels without those, the peanut butter and jelly? It gives you something to work off of. It's like, okay, this is my opinion and this is what I think. And then if you don't allow other people to have their opinions, well, you're going to get your lessons around not letting other people have their own free will and their own opinions. Because then what's going to happen is someone's going to come into your life that will not listen to anything you say. You can't make them mind you. You can't control them. You can't manipulate them. And you'll keep getting those interactions until you learn. You got to let people have their own free will, and you've got to let other people have their own opinions. Those are based on their experiences in their lives. They're based on their belief systems that you're not going to change. That's about them. And so if you don't let others have their own opinions, well, guess what? You've got a whole bunch of lessons coming about letting people have their own free will and their own right to think and believe what they want to.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God for it. It's something I go to. We have to go. We're all built with the way I see it, we all get inbred with this programming and this defense of, like, you walk around and you've got the right mentality in life and everyone should bend to your way of thinking. You know what I mean? You do. Like, that's the way society tries to train you in it. And then in some people it changes and you realize that ain't it, but in others they still go around. If you ain't the same as them, you basically an enemy.
Yeah.
And I love variety in life. I like pink, blue, yellow, green, and black and white. So I don't care if you like pink, yellow, blue, green, because I like variety. You know?
Yeah, I can still interact with you and understand that just because you have these certain belief systems, it's not anything on me. That's about you. And you know, if you don't like peanut butter and I do, well, that's good. Then you eat the peanut butter and I'll eat the jelly.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good thinking.
Yeah. But
Smart.
you know, I learned that lesson the hard way too, is, you know, we come here and we have free will to think and believe what we want to. We do have that free will. Then we also have, layered on top of that, we have these, I don't know if you want to call them instincts or just, I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit of AI programming, you know. We have this programming. We need a tribe. Well, you need a tribe to be in, to be safe. Because a long, long time ago, when we were just living out in, you know, nature, if you didn't have a tribe, you were going to die. You weren't going to do well. So I think that need for that tribe is so deep within us because we're humans, we're animals. That need to belong to the tribe is so deep within us that I think people sometimes align with the group just because of that. Not necessarily that they really just believe everything that group believes. They just, and you can see it even, you know, in YouTube land, you can see it there too. Well, we're in this group, we're lined up over here and we're doing this, and you're over there and you're doing this. So it's almost like the same mentality. Yeah, you're horrible because you're not over here. And you know, it's like, oh well, you can't be in this group anymore. You have, and then it's like this devastating effect. Well, the devastating effect is just that old programming saying, oh no, I've lost my tribe. Now what am I going to do? You know, and it's just this old thing. And so what I learned to tell myself is like, wait a minute, we haven't been in tribes in a long time. We live in our own houses now and we're doing something different. And it doesn't matter what groups of people are doing. It doesn't have any bearings on what my life and what I'm doing. I try to focus and concern myself with what's 3 feet in front of me because that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And then the groups, you know, yes, I think that's what it's hitting. It just feels so good to feel like you're a part of a group. You know, you've got that collective consciousness. It's got all that nice energy in it. And, you know, it just feels good. And it just feels good to us because it's true. You know, out in nature, numbers survive. Look at how fish do when a big shark's coming up. What the first thing they do is run and group together. They're going, hey, okay, I'm in the middle because the ones on the outside are going to get picked off, not me. And yeah, I think it's just the survival instinct that we have, you know, and thinking about that one, I've thought about that a lot, and human behavior and how we just we want to be part of a group. We're scared we're going to die out in nature, but we're not even in nature anymore. We can interact with nature, but we don't live out in it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, most of us don't.
It's almost like everyone's part of a cult now, aren't they? Like, and what I mean by cult, it's a following of some sort. Everybody's got to be part of something. And it's right, because it's like a gang. We could go into the deep philosophy of it, you know what I mean? And when you think of a tribe, it also relates to a family. And a lot of people haven't had strong family structures, so then they look externally for it, don't they? That's probably what happens with a lot of the gangs and things. But myself, I've always been a bit of a loner. And on the movies, when you watch it a lot of the time, the people that run off in the big group, they're the one like the monster can hear. So if you go off on your own, you can hide in the rocks and like no one will see you. So like there are advantages to being on your own sometimes.
Yes.
But like it's nice to become to part of this because there is a bit of a consciousness community, I suppose. I suppose anyone on love is part of my group if I'm part of a group. So it's nice to have other people out there that are on the same vibration. But I often consider ourselves one, but in our own camps, because I like everybody to have their own independence because they are their own sovereign being, you know, and they've got their own thing to contribute. So I think that's important. And I don't like hierarchy and So people's best off being on their own. You know, like individual artists, you know what I mean? Rather than in this one thing, and it's like, you do this, and you back to that again. Like, nah, everyone's cool doing what they do, but like working for the same goal. Like, I don't mind that. I'm happy doing that.
And you're so young to have these concepts already down within your mind. Like, you know, letting other people have their own free will. That is such a huge lesson here. And until you learn that one, you're going to keep getting lessons around that. Because everybody has their own free will to make their own choices. We're not in control of other people. We might be able to manipulate people with harshness and being unkind. And, you know, we can manipulate things, but you are not in control of what they're thinking in their mind. You cannot control that. And you don't get to have that. Everybody gets to have that for themselves. And that's just one of the many lessons here that we get. And the other one go ahead.
Sorry. It's just because when you spoke about that at the start, you really got my attention about that. Then when you give the example about the car, and when you were mentioning it, it reminded me of Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 agreements or the 3 agreements. So I don't know if you've, because literally the way you, like, I feel we pick up the same structures from different cultures and things along the way. It's just people put them down. And, you know, I learned a lot from that book because he gives you the examples. It was like the exact same one you said about if you're in a car and your car breaks down, you could end up punching the steering wheel. All of this. Or you could just say, you know what, I better ring the AA, which is a car place over here, and get the car sorted, and it's no frustration on yourself. Someone knocks into you in the street and you get all frustrated because they've knocked into you. But these examples were good because the guy was blind, and you realise after that the guy's blind, you're like, why the hell was I calling him all them names? You know what I mean? So like it learns you to self-reflect, and I feel you're good at that, show. I think you're almost a master yourself, and I feel like you can teach the world a lot about. These are the basic messages, though, aren't they, that we need to give people, don't you think? It's so simple, yet we miss them. How to react in normal situations, things we shouldn't let bother us. How, you know, almost like a hitchhiker's guide to the mind, like behavior. Anti-programming.
And that lesson about letting people have their free will and understanding that everything is not about you, that if something happens out there in the world, that it, you know, it could be that person is really struggling. What if, you know, they've got a relative they're taking care of that is in the dying process? What if they're in grief and they're not just clicking along like you are, you know, and they forgot to put the thing up, and then when you went by, it fell on or did something to you, and you know, you don't know what that person is going through unless you've lived their life, which there's no way you did that. So you don't know what's going on. And, you know, that lesson of you know, having that insight into the bigger picture. That's what, you know, it's a bigger picture of the way the world is. You know, that's going to change your reality in a big way. Because instead of getting mad at them, yelling at them, then you go get in your car, then you get a flat tire because now you're on a bad vibration. Then you get a flat tire, then you get out to fix the flat tire. Another car comes and hits you in the back end, and then your whole day goes like that. So you can stop that from happening by stopping it from that first one, by just simply going, that may have happened because that person may be really struggling, and taking that stance on it. Then you don't make your whole vibration wonky for the rest of the day and the rest of next week and all of it, because we carry a vibration in us and the world reacts to it. That's just the way it is. And one of the biggest lessons I found here, and you know, it doesn't mean that you are just supposed to go around being kind and helping everybody. That's not good either. You need to let people have their struggles because they need to learn and grow on their own too. But one of the big things that has a lot of consequences here is, above all, be kind and treat people the way you want to be treated. Because when you go out and you know, okay, say for instance, again, that car just came by, they did something and they rolled up too far close to you and just tapped you or whatever, and then you blow up at them. Remember, they've got the person at home that's dying. They're trying to take care of them and kids. And so, and then you get out of your car and you go scream at that person and make them feel even worse than they already do.
Yeah.
You just wait a minute. That is going to come back to you tenfold. And I've seen it in my own life, and I was like, what is happening? And it's like, oh, well, I had an issue, and I wasn't kind in that situation because I was triggered. And it didn't come out nice. I was not nice right then. And then it kept getting bigger to where I could see it. And then it's like, I see it. I caused that. I caused that to happen. I'm continuing to cause this to happen. This lesson really hurt. So I'm going to learn how to be kind. I didn't come up as a kind person. I wasn't like this. I've developed myself, and I've worked hard on my consciousness to get myself into a better vibration. And that was one of the things. I was not kind, and I was a nurse. So I was in all these situations, and these people were doing all this stuff. They get mad at you because sometimes that's where it gets vented, because they're frustrated and they're upset. And
Great place to train. Great place
to
train.
It just pushed me to my limits almost every day. And there would be times I would not be kind, and then I would hear them talking to somebody, and oh my God, the horrible things that they're dealing with, and there I am getting upset at them over something silly, And, I just felt so bad. I would just go home, and it's like, okay, I was pushed to my limit, but is that their fault? No, it's mine. So when I feel pushed to my limits and all that, I need to stop and go look at nature, rest my mind. I need to ease my vibration into a better one so that I don't go out into the world and cause other people more struggle on top of what they're already dealing with.
Brilliant. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Try to be considerate. Now, what I think has helped me do this a little bit. It's because I'm a bit of a dreamer. I've grew up watching movies, and I feel what watching movies did for me, it put me into a different type of reality, and I often put myself in the character, so it allowed me to almost become that person. So I feel when you can do that, you have to be empathetic, because how can you know what someone's going through or see the potential consequences of that and be that person and feel it and want that to happen? It's terrible, isn't it? So, like your examples again were brilliant. In that book, he gives an example. Check out clerks, in the supermarkets, and they're moody. And the man always says it, and in the book it says, well, they've got a grandma in hospital that's dying that they love. And, them just, we just don't know. Do they? Besides that, do you really want to work there either? Yeah. I don't know who would be happy, you know what I mean? So, let's take but it's hard to do it. And you're right. I feel you have to pull people up at times.
Yeah.
You can't just be, that's, but you can explain to people. You don't have to get angry, but there's a way to tell people the way without being angry.
Yes. Yep.
And then they can self-reflect. And it's just, a little bit, but there's a right way to do that again. And
there's a right way to handle it. And I don't think that handling things out of anger ever helps anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it help anything. Maybe there are instances that I have not had experiences with, but in my experience, anytime I handled things with anger, I was way outside. I was coloring way outside the lines, and I was in the wrong.
It's a force, it's a power, but anger, don't get me wrong, you can use it, but I don't necessarily think it can lead you to the right place unless it's to destroy. If that is your goal, if your goal is to destroy, I suppose that's
aggressiveness, isn't it? If someone comes up and they're, it's like that Oriental philosophy of, as soon as the warrior got angry, he had to kill himself because he wasn't doing the right thing. It wasn't a fair battle anymore. And if you need to be aggressive to protect yourself from something, aggressiveness and handling a situation is different than anger. Anger is it's emotion. Anger is a force, and I don't think it's a good one. I don't think it really. I've seen it do nothing but destroy things.
No, it has no place. It has no place. It can be transmuted, and that's where its place is, because I feel if you pull on it in the right way, and not use anger. It can transmute, but it's really difficult to do that for anyone. So, but yeah, you're right.
Use the anger when I feel it. I like, oh, I need to go in. There's something wrong. It's me.
Yeah, like it's got its purpose for that in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've written some powerful poetry when I've been angry, but not like, like a took down anger. And it's hard to explain. It's a different type of anger because it's not coming to the surface. You're not trying to destroy, but you're almost controlling it and using it in a way to create.
Oh, that's brilliant. Have you ever heard of Robert Greene? He wrote the book called The 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, wow. Okay. I know that book. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that book.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things he talks about, how anger is so destructive. And he said, but what you can do with anger is you can channel that into something positive. And he said that's how he writes his books.
I know how I do everything. I bet you do. Come on. Like I do. The only reason I feel I can do anything is because I've got that trauma that we talk about. When we say we heal it, well, it's almost like it's understood, it's accepted, but it still lies there to be able to bring the power. It's got to, because where would I have any drive?
It's within there. Yes.
So do you do that? Do you feel it's? I can feel it. I can feel it when it's not just anger. It could be any emotion. I feel like any type of emotion is a form of energy. So sadness, deep sadness. Like when I think about, my mom and granddad on a weird day, I could write something amazing or see something from a certain perspective. Anchors enough. When happiness brings a completely different creativity.
Yeah.
Where do you think you best come from? A place of silence, a place of stillness, or do you feel you work off different emotions?
I'm very emotional. Always have been. So that has been my biggest teacher here, and I've learned the most about myself and learning how to be the change I want to see in the world. That's when I feel emotion. That's where that is connected to my experiences of my past. I did have a very difficult childhood, and through that work that I had to do, I had a lot of struggle. And so when I feel those, now that I've done some of this inner work, when I feel some of that come to the surface, it's, I felt it so many times now because I've worked on it so much. Yeah. I know instinctively, immediately what it is. I was like, oh, there that is. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what this is. I'm going to go, take care of this. And I'm not silent, and that's where my best work is, and where my creativity, I think, comes from too, is that I have been able to go into those places within myself and do the self-reflective work. Because until I did that, I didn't understand what was going on. I just thought, okay, everybody is just mean. I'm mean. We're all mean, but I've seen other people who weren't mean. So I knew that there was another way, but the situations I grew up, everybody was mad. Everybody was just mad, except there was a couple of people in my life who were not mad, right? So I saw it from both ways. Like, okay, they're mad and they're not. Okay, well, what are they doing that they're not doing? And what can I learn from this? And I think that was just one of the ways I was able to start stepping myself into a better direction, was looking at how I felt. Because when I was feeling negative, and then I got the information that, well, maybe I'm in fear. Maybe it's a belief that I have that isn't true. So I started looking at that other stuff. That's a form of creativity, right? Recreating yourself from how you would have reacted in the past to the way you react now. So I think that is how I probably created the better version of Cheryl, is through those emotions, because that was telling me where it was at.
This is it, isn't it? Yeah. Like it hurts. It's the pointer, isn't it? It's pointing. It's like signpost. It's here.
It's almost like a compass. It's like a compass. So if you're feeling super sad, well, maybe you're in a situation where you see other people who are struggling the way you did when you were young. Like you see a child crying and nobody attending to it, and it's sad and nobody's helping it. And, So see that those experiences is what, we are going to be more tuned to if we experience those same experiences when we were children. So that's why we would want to help. We would be the first one to show up to help that child, right? Because we know what that feels like. Well, everybody doesn't know what that feels like because everybody had different experiences growing up. And there's some people in this world that had no loving beings around them at all. Well, no wonder they're mean, and no wonder they're not happy. So
I know.
what can we do? We can be kind to them at least,
This is it, isn't it?
Starting to open that door. Then they're like, well, wait, they were kind of kind to me. Wait. And it just helps start getting that door open. And I think that's probably what you do in your work with people who have had these experiences in life where they didn't have a good support system. They didn't have caregivers that cared about them, and that's why they're where they're at, because they don't have any experience of it. And as human beings, we have a need for belonging and love when we come in to the place. You can take an infant and put it in a bassinet, and if you don't attend to it and you don't love it, it gets failure to thrive. It dies. So that's how much we need love and belonging as human beings. And when we don't have that, it causes consequences within that person. And, but it is up to that person, even though it wasn't their fault what happened, it has to only be their responsibility to get it better because they're the only ones that can.
Yeah.
But what we can do as looking outside in is just be kind, right?
And understand, accept, and help that.
I'm not saying go around a person that's coming up and hitting you all the time, or somebody that's being abusive to you. That's not what I'm saying. If someone's being abusive to you, well, you probably don't want to spend as much time there. But if they're just, upset because, and that's just what's happening to them right then, well, maybe, just being kind to them, maybe you can be the first one to open that door a little bit to help them see that there is kindness in this world. There is love in this world, that's not true, and so they can start breaking up those patterns in their mind that's telling them that everybody here is bad.
Exactly. It's like we're on a talk show. Yeah, this is what we need right now. Everyone do this.
Right. I was in that place where I felt the same way. And, I didn't have aunts, uncles. I didn't have any grandparents. I didn't have a sweet grandma looking at me going, look at you. I didn't have any of that. And all I had was, my father's caregiver, and he was just getting things done. Get up, you go to work, you do this is what we're doing. And he was out in the physical world making things happen, and that was his job, and that's what he did. And he kept roofs over our head and all of that stuff. But all of my extended family was gone. There was nobody else there. And it put too much burden on, the people that was there in my family. It was too much to do, and it was hard. And so I did have a mindset that people weren't kind and people weren't loving in this world. I did have that. I had that mindset. But then I met a few people that come across me in my path that was kind to me for the first time in my life, because I was being ugly. I was being mean too. So I was mirroring it out there, and it was coming right back. But then I had these people, and they were I read this book called The Pivotal People in Your Life Can Change Your Reality. And wow, did they ever. And that's all they did was be kind to me. They didn't give me the information. They didn't help me out of the situation I was in. They were just kind to me and cared. They were caring, and they were kind. Those people helped me transform my life, because my life trajectory was not going to end well. And
that's beautiful, man.
Yeah. So that's why, that's why I believe the way I do. It can just take one interaction. It can just take one interaction with someone being kind to you to turn, because then you're getting information that's not matching up to what you believe, that everybody's bad and everybody wants to hurt me. Then if that person, and then they continuously don't hurt you, then you're like, wait a minute. Okay, but that's not what I believe. But that's not what they're doing. And one of them was this woman I met when I was walking my dog. I was walking up and down that beach trying to figure all this out. What's going on here? What is this reality? Why am I here? What's going on? You know? And I met this woman, and she had this little dog that he was mean, and he would bite people sometimes. She had to be really careful around people. And I'm walking by her, and I had my dog, and I went, oh. So I picked my dog up, and she goes, oh, everything's okay. Just don't get near him. He's not very nice. I'm sorry. And I kept seeing her every day. And then one day, you know, the dog wasn't barking at me that day, but he wanted to bite everybody, not just me, you know. And so I walked up to the dog, and I got real little, like 4 feet in front of him. And then I wouldn't look in his eyes, because dogs, you know, when you look straight at them, well, that's telling them it's on. Let's get it. It's going down here. And so I didn't look in his eyes. And I said, oh, you're such a good dog. And I was kind to it, right? And then after that, we all became great friends. We all walked every day on the beach. And
amazing.
she was so kind. And she was that grandmother figure that I never had. And she just loved me where I was. It wasn't good where I was, but she loved me where I was. And it just changed my life, you know. And her name is Grandma D. Shout out to Grandma D.
Shout out Grandma D.
Grandma D, be the change you want to see in the world. And she definitely was. And I tell you what, I was so lucky to come across her in my world. So yeah, it's just, that's my philosophy. I've had a lot of different experiences, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's what I'm here to do, though, right? Isn't it? If we don't have a place to learn and grow, or a way to understand how to learn and grow, well, then we can't. So that's what I think this place is, to help us do that, so we can learn and grow. And without it, we're lost at sea, you know, in this raging, you know, lost places.
You know, I think the essence is, we've touched on it though. Where for people to start. So, well, where I started was with the forget religion and everything. Where I started with this was still in the mind, maybe. Self-awareness, self-reflection. It's called self-inquiry, I believe, what I started, which is just looking at the mind, seeing what thoughts pop up.
Yes.
what you know, your triggers, your behaviors, the sensations attached to that within your body. And getting used to yourself, like know thyself. It kind of explains that, knowing that inner part. If you look at alchemy, that would be the first and kind of second stage, what I'm talking about. That's kind of where it starts. I feel that self-inquiry, looking in and going, oh shit, you know, you know. Would you say that was it for you? And what would you call it if it was? Was it called self-inquiry, or what was it termed when you did it?
Well, I don't think I really had a concept around it. All I was doing, and all I knew to do, was I was trying to get rid of my fears. That's all I knew, really.
Okay.
And so I think, because I didn't have really a lot of people that I interacted with growing up, I was, you know, pretty much by myself most of the time. I was already looking in. That's all I had, was me. So I already had, you know, an inner world that was very vibrant, and, you know, I had a big imagination, and so I think that intuition was already something that I was well established in before I came across the work of, you know, getting, you know, looking at the fears that you have within. So no, I don't think that I had a moment where it's like, oh wait, I can self-reflect. I think that I could already.
No, when did your main practice start, if you started? Or was there not? Because for me, I was quite distinct, where there's a time where maybe I went into meditation more and self-reflection, regardless of the awareness, just more as in work. And
oh, I know what you're talking about. What did it for me, and what made me more aware of what was going on in my inner world, was meditation. I started meditating. I meditated for about 3 years, and the way I see that is, I was learning how to teach my mind to focus. And then once I started learning how to focus, then I was able to really zero down into these specific experiences that I was having, and matching those to different experiences I had from my past.
Yeah. So focus. So I'm just trying to give people keys, tips, if that makes sense.
Yes.
If anyone watching wanting to know what to do. So it's like,
and you can do meditation anyway. A lot of people, you say meditation, they're like, oh my God, no, I don't like that. But there's all different kinds of ways of meditation. You can like stare at a candle for 10, 15 minutes a day. You can go for a walk where you just don't think, where you just go into, and that is what meditative state really is. It's the mind going into theta. It's the theta state. That's the state you get to right before we go to sleep. We all do it every night before we go to bed. We go into this theta state, which kind of feels really relaxing and that's theta state. That is when your focus is the sharpest, is when you are in theta state. So really, it's about learning how to get into that vibration of theta brainwaves. And I used to do it. I would go fishing. I don't think I was fishing anymore. I was just sitting there watching the water, sitting there in theta state for hours at a time. Yeah. So walking meditation, sitting on a park bench watching the water, that's a form of meditation.
But it becomes that anyway, doesn't it? I feel the starting route's probably sitting there, closing your eyes. Most people but in terms of that, I feel that is what it is anyway. And you see that eventually, it's like I've been meditating all along to certain degrees, but you really do it. It's like you're walking and you're in a trance.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You don't need to close your eyes anymore.
You're just floating in a void, and as your avatar is moving around, you're just really in this centered place where you're just in a theta. And I think that I taught myself this when I was really young, to help calm myself, because I was a pretty anxious child. And so I learned to calm myself that way. But yeah, when you're in that place where you just feel a little more relaxed, and you know what it is, you've been there, and that's it. And that's where your focus becomes much sharper. And if you just do that a few times a day, you'll find you're a calmer person. It's easier to not get mad when someone bumps your car. It's easier. It makes you being in control of your avatar and in control of your anger much easier to do. But if you're never relaxed, if you're always in, that strong vibe where you're active and you're doing stuff, that's a harder place to be, to learn how to do the reflective work that you need to do when you're trying to work on reducing the anger within yourself, or channeling that anger into a better place. And it's just to make you more aware of what's really happening. What's really happening is someone will do something. It's reminding you of something that happened in the past. Our mind is pattern matching it, right? And so if you got angry about that thing before, well, you're probably going to get angry now.
Yeah, bango.
It's like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to get mad. And it's just your mind just matching things up for you.
That's it. We can never control the external, but we can control that inner reaction.
No.
When
we both know it, and I can feel it. We both have been in that place where I was so reactive. Something would happen, it was like a knee jerk. Oh yeah.
just come on then.
It's funny now.
It's no control at all, but
there's not.
Like the way I see it now, I still get the thoughts, not maybe not as extreme in some regards, but you still have prompts come, but it's almost like it slows down and it's all calm, and you get to make this decision. It's like this slow ticking clock, like you've got 10 seconds. Which choice do you want to make?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like everything's cool. Where before there was just no control. It's just like, as you say, like a barking dog just going straight at it when you see a ball running. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah. They can't. It seems impossible to start with, but I truly believe eventually you do have that, that decision inside.
Yes.
You still get called, you still have the prompts, but you've got a choice.
Oh, I have a tidbit for this one. when you're learning how to get control of those emotions, one of the things that I taught myself was stop, drop, and roll. That was one thing that I kind of started with. Okay, when you feel that thing, okay, stop and create a space between what you do and then you can decide what to do instead of reacting.
That's good.
So it's when, okay, all right, the wheels have come off the train. We are going in the ditch. Stop. Stop. Don't say nothing. You're not going to like what you say. Stop. And so, over time, I trained myself to stop in those instances. Go, wait a minute. Let me resituate what's really going on here. Because if I react to this, it's not going to have anything to do with the situation. It's going to have everything to do with my history. And I don't
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Even down to, like, let's say race, you know, like if someone said something to me in the past or they do now, if I'm being completely honest with you, I'm putting on programming of society and peers and everything telling me that I should get angry about someone doing that, you know. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, above all that, I believe in oneness and love. So yeah, it's racism, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, my defense comes from everyone else telling me that's wrong. More that's firstly where it comes from, more than me thinking it's wrong. It's just built in and programmed. And it's kind of hard to react in certain situations, I suppose, for certain people. Imagine being black in a black group, someone calling you black, and you're not doing anything. You black people, like, it's just stupid. It's you know.
Well, it looks
that's
like
a tough one to talk about, I know, but
that's a deep one, you know. There's that situation going on where I live too, and the thing about it is there have been there we go. I got it. Okay, sorry about that. But I'm sure that you've had a lot of experiences with that, where people were unkind to you just by the way you look, you know. And I think that there are ways to look at that. What if that could be transmuted? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that you may have an advantage on the people that are judging you, because you have a way to really get in there and work on that stuff, that it's not about you. And you're going to know more than those people who are judging you.
This is it. If it's been given to me as programming as a defense mechanism, it's not really me. You know what I mean? I understand why people say stuff like that, like they do in every opposition poll, why people are defensive. It's a fear within inside themselves, potentially programmed through generational or society. It could be many things, but I know it's not me, it's them. And that's a power, as you say. But it's funny for me in another sense, like looking at it from a different angle, because me being in that race and understanding that to a degree, and suppose not, I told you it's wrong, like it's not right, but like it's not anything that I'm, well, I suppose, I don't know.
Well, we all have need, and we want to feel belonging. That is, if you look at what are, we come in with this set of needs, and that's one of them, is belonging. We really need to feel that way, because if we don't, and we feel outcasted, we feel, put down, again, that's hooking into that primal, I need to fit in here, or either my tribe's going to come get me, or something bad's going to go down here. We want to belong because there's other reasons behind that. And I think that propaganda and media uses those things about us in our human nature to divide us, because the more we talk and the more we interact, what happens is we learn stuff. So as we learn and grow, well, it makes other people who want to control certain groups of people, it takes that power away from them. So what happens? They just pump more of it in there. And there's a lot of that going on in my culture too. But over the last 40, 50 years, everybody has been working on it. And we've been getting it better and better and better, and to where those lines were not like a division line anymore. We were crossing cultures. We were communicating and talking. Oh, wait, we're not that much different. We just thought we were. And then when everything happened, like 2-3 years ago, that's the same area that it came in and hit again. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing, to divide people again, And so, yes, there's a lot of programming around races and that you don't belong. And if this race is here, oh, you don't fit in and they don't like you. And, all just to get us fighting with each other. And yes, that is going on. But the only thing that we have is because we can't control what other people do is how we react to it. That's all we have, or not react to it. And if you have a knee-jerk reaction, give yourself grace. And you can say, this is deep within me because of who I am as a human here. So I'm giving myself extra time to work on it. So there.
You see, I'm mixed raced. So I've always considered myself the mix.
Yeah.
I'm neither all, I am all, I'm both.
You're both. We're here to bring everybody together.
So that, I think that's what it is. That's part that like literally is in my blood to mix everyone together.
Yeah. Just throw everybody into a big mosh pit. It's like, okay.
Well, I've never, like at the same time, I've never belonged. Like, I don't know, I'm saying the wrong words. I've never belonged to a group. So I feel that's always helped me. Maybe see these negative issues that you have that you look at and the negative, they actually in the long run do something positive. And I think that never having a place has helped me not need a place, but maybe want to create a place. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I can't picture it because I'm happy in my own lane, like you were saying earlier. I only focus on me, and I'm really cool with that. You know what I mean?
Also, it gave you a bigger ability to think for yourself. See, all the people that fit in really well into the nice, neat boxes that were all made for everybody, people that fit into those boxes real easy and could be with the group where it felt more comfortable, they did not get a strong sense of thinking for themselves and having their own thoughts. Well, they'll have a thought and then they have to go check in with the group to see if that's okay.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So what it does is when you're not included in the group, I wasn't included in the groups either. So if you're not included in the groups, what it does is it helps you to learn how to think for yourself, where you don't need a group to have your own thoughts. So what it does is it gives you a sense of yourself and creativity. It gives you creativity that other people do not have that did fit in well with society.
Yeah. Because like I've always been accepted to one degree because I was like sports. I was good at sports and the girls liked me. And because of that, you get this like free pass, even though, you might be a bit of a boffin or a geek and a bit clever, a bit different. Because you're good at sports or whatever, you're all right. So like I was in every group really, but no group. Yeah, that's what I was actually. I was in every group but no group. I was a football team and the science team and the maths team.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like they accepted you, but you weren't really like them. You were different.
Yeah, and I suppose you were the same, but like your era, when did you go to high school? When would that have been? Like
1980. You want to give my age away? 1981.
I'm sorry.
81. Yes, I'm up there. I've had a lot of experiences to learn from. It was back in the 80s, and back in that time, where I'm from, Texas is a very conservative place. So either you fit in the box or you don't, and if you didn't, you don't get to play. I was totally Rudolph in my own world from get-go. Yeah. It was the whole Rudolph story all over again. And I didn't fit in because I didn't have similar experiences to what most kids had. Mine was different. And so because I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't fit in with the females. I didn't fit in with the males. I was somewhere in the middle. I was a very, very different type thinker. I could, I wasn't there was no boxes. I was even looking for one to fit in, and there wasn't any. There was no boxes. So, and the way my culture treated people like me back then was we just went to the art department. Okay, we just went to the art class and just made stuff. That's what we did. And then
Yeah.
there were other people in the art department that were like me. So I just hung out with most of the right brains, which more creative. I'm more right brained. I'm not left brain. I'm not the organizer or the, detail oriented person at all. I'm more of a creative person, and that's kind of how I live my life, just day to day, and just create it as I go. And so, not belonging all that time, it just, for years, it was just me and my mind. So I had a lot of time to spend with myself and get to know myself. So I think that those experiences, but see, because I didn't fit in, and as a child, you don't understand what's happening. What it did was because as a child, we can only have the viewpoint of a child, and it's about me, right? So if I don't fit in, then there must be something wrong with me. That's where your mind goes. And so I've had a lot of that, and I still do, and I still have to work on it. It still comes up, and I still have to deal with it. That not fitting in, and the other children, because if you don't fit in and you're not in the in groups, the other kids, even if they want to hang out with you and play with you, they're not allowed to. See?
Yeah, you gotta remember that. Yeah.
They're not allowed to. And so I thought there was something just completely wrong with me as a human being. And there may have been. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, we're all different, and we all have differences in how we think and all of that stuff. And so that has been my big, work here, is to work on those feelings of not fitting in, the feelings of I don't belong, it's like that Wayne's World thing. You're not worthy,
That's oh, I love that scene, actually. You're amazing. Oh God.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that in.
yeah.
We gotta get going.
No. Stick around. Hang out with us.
Cool. Yeah, we'll stay and hang around with us. With Alice Cooper.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're scum! We suck!
And so even when I first started, doing podcasts and stuff, it was like, I like doing this. It's such a creative thing, and it's a platform to get other points of view, and I love talking. So it just fit so many things that I like, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I like this. And so I just started doing it, and I ended up doing a lot of stuff. Once I started doing stuff, then more stuff came, more opportunities, and I just kept going. Well, see what happens. And I've enjoyed it a lot. So I would have never, been able to do that had I been part of the collective, part of fitting in. And I would have never been able to do that because I would have had to gotten permission from somewhere, right? and then here, I can be creative and just be myself. Warts and all, this is me, this is how I am.
And it's beautiful.
And I'm just as valuable as anybody else in this world is. We all are valuable. We all have value here. Even if, we have problems and we have issues, it doesn't mean you have no value as a human being. Because we all have potential to evolve past where we are. And because of that, that means we all have value intrinsically, just because you're here.
This is it. Everybody is a pound coin. Everybody is a dollar. Everybody is a flower. Everybody has worth. And thank you for Cheryl for reminding maybe someone watching this of that. You know what I mean?
It's painful to feel that way. It's painful to feel that you don't, that you're not even valuable enough to be able to have a conversation with someone. And it brings on this sense of shame, and it's a deep sense of, of negativity that's aimed towards yourself. And that's a lot of energy to aim back on yourself. And it can be quite destructive in your life. And when I started seeing that in my own life, this has been a few years back, I knew that's where it was coming from. And I needed to start doing things for me that I needed, and that to show myself, see, you do have value. And I worked my way through nursing school. I didn't have any help. My father got sick when I was 7 years old. So I lost any sense of a structured family. By the time I was 7 years old, it was all gone. And it was, I had to, step up and become an adult as a child, because I had younger siblings and they were falling through the cracks. And so I helped with the younger siblings. I helped my mother, and my dad was sick and we ended up homeless a couple of times. It was just a shit show. And it was really, really hard for children to be in that kind of situation. And back then they didn't have a lot of help for families that were going through stuff like that. They do now, but not back then. And so I had to, pull myself up by my own bootstraps. I mean, my life was lost. I was not doing well for a long time. And so I ended up in this band. I was in a band for like 10 years. I played in a band. I taught myself how to play guitar. And then I started going to college. And I paid my way through college. Nobody paid my way through college. I didn't have anybody helping me do nothing. I was working. And then the rest of the time that I had off, I was doing classes. And I'd quit high school in the 9th grade because my life was just so bad that what happened was I had to go from 9th grade to 12th grade. And that was a big jump, but I did it. And then once I started accomplishing things, then I said, see, I can too do things. Yeah. I do have value. I do too. What other people's opinions are, they don't matter, because where I'm at right now, and I was sitting there at the end of it with a degree. I know some of them, they're not real good degrees, but the effort that it takes to get that, the effort and the struggle. There was times that I had classes to go to. I had no idea how I was going to get home from those classes. I had no idea. And so I just told myself, I'm going to class. If I can't get home, I'll sleep on the freaking bench. I don't care. I'm doing this. And I would go, and then it was so serendipity all the time. Something would happen. Somebody would show up. Hey, Cheryl, what are you doing? I'm going to go over here and do this thing, And I'm like, hey, can you give me a ride, when you're done with that, and I'll help you do that. And it would just all work out, and it worked out, and I did it. And so once I started accomplishing things in my life, that's when things started changing, for those breaking up those opinions of yourself that you don't have value here, and you're not a beautiful human being, no matter what, it's those things that really help me see that, my other people's opinions of me is not necessarily true.
No. And let me just throw out anything. Well done, Cheryl, for your life, for everything you've achieved. You don't even need to hear what I'm saying now, but at the end of the day, what pisses me off sometimes? You have all these documentaries about these celebrities and their struggles and everything, and people cry at them and oh my God, they've achieved so much. And fair play. Like, I take my hat to anyone that's achieved, but there's people out there in the world that have gone through so much more, and they do every single day. They achieve so much more, and they never get any gratitude whatsoever. And it's every single one of us, man. Do you know what I mean? So, well done for you, Cheryl. This is me saying love you, man. And it seems like you had God with you. You know what I mean? From what you're saying, well. Just you're a warrior of light, and I think everybody that goes through trauma to survive it, you have to be a warrior. You know what I mean?
Well, it's going to make you into a warrior. It's either be a warrior or die, And there was so many times where I couldn't see any way out. But you know what that did? You know what that did too? I can be in situations, and I have a good friend that's experienced these with me. I can be experienced and go, hey, wait a minute. Because I believe this. And see, belief is a technology. Everything I need will just show up. Yeah. I always have everything I need. And I do. And even if I don't, it shows up when I need it. If I don't have it, it doesn't matter. It'll just show up when I need it. And it does. And A funny story. I went and I was on a train. It was supposed to be a two-way train. It was a one-way. So I got there. There I was again. And I was like, oh, here we go. But everything worked out exactly the way it needed to. And everything was fine. So what it does is it teaches you that, I think that there is, once you become one of your own advocates, that you are creating those beliefs that you have. And if I believe that I have everything I need, guess what? This reality has to show me what I believe. It's what I believe. I believe I have everything I need. I believe that if I don't have it right then, it's on its way. And so just that one belief right there is, it takes a lot of fear out of living when you don't have everything you need right then. See, it takes the fear out of it. It takes the bite out of it. It really doesn't matter, right?
This is it. Yeah. So that's 100%. People need to take that, don't know, that self-belief, almost that faith, lack of fear, to live. Yeah. It's hard to do. This is it. It takes practice, does it? Another thing to face, I think, is death. Like when you understand, you've got nothing really to worry about, have you? When you face death and you face the fear of death.
I don't think we die.
But this is it. So when you look at that, what are you scared of?
I think that we just switch meat suits and come back and do it again.
It's the fear of the unknown, though, isn't it? For people, I think more so than anything, it's the fear of what's going to happen.
What's going to happen? The fear of uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen.
It's faith again. You've just give the answer. All you need to do is just know that you're going to have everything you ever need. Yes. And the only thing that's going to take that away from you is the lack of belief of that, because then you won't have it. So
if you don't think you have what you need, then that also in turn creates that you don't have what you need. I think it's what you believe here. I think because I've had so many experiences of that thing over and over again. If you believe something's not, that you're not going to have what you need when you need it, well, that's kind of what happens a lot.
yeah. This is it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just the process of learning and growing, and a big thing too is taking your experiences, and some of the experiences I have, I will pick them apart with a fine-tooth comb to find all those gold nuggets in there. What can I learn from this? And that's one of the ways that I've been teaching myself, and I teach myself. And as I grow and evolve, that as I teach myself what's happening here, then I can look at my experiences and I can pretty much gauge what's happening, right? And I kind of know, I'm here to work on that again. That's
very good, yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do now.
You can't do anything more than that.
Because those day-to-day, it's the day-to-day experiences. When something happens, look at it. You're in there.
That's it.
Your the way you feel, your beliefs, it's all in there. So you have an experience. Look at it. Don't just that's in Pat. Don't let it die. You're walking past your goal. It's not that I'm trying to rehash the past. I'm looking at what just happened to see what I can learn from it. Because if you think about it, if this is a learning lab we're learning in, what are we learning from? Our experiences. So I take those experiences as the classroom. Heads up, class. Look at what's happening here. And
that's fantastic.
And
people search YouTube, read books. You don't need to. Look at what you've just described is purely self-inquiry too. That's all you have to do, really. You're just looking at yourself. You don't need to read anything, look at anything, get hours of this. Just look at yourself. Your experience
will tell you exactly where you are.
That's it.
It'll tell you exactly what you think. It'll tell you exactly how you feel. For instance, everybody's experienced this. You get up in the morning, you wake up, the first thought you had was the problem from the day before, right? then you get out of bed, you walk around your bed, then you stump your toe. Then now you're frustrated. Now you've got that vibration going. Okay, now you're frustrated. Yeah. Then you go to make your coffee, and you pour coffee all over the countertop, right? And it's like, I'm having one of those days, and it's like, yeah, You're having one of those days, but you started it.
Ah,
See? Because
yeah.
I caught myself doing it.
Yep.
And it's like, what? Everything's just going wrong today. It's like, yeah, because I made it go wrong. I did this.
And good though. And good. Like, let's say I'm going on holiday. I know I'm going on holiday. I wake up today. Woo!
Yeah.
Today's a good day. I'm going on holiday, and the whole day just goes smoothly beautiful because I am.
You're in that vibration.
Yeah,
That's the vibration. And I've started calling it vibration hygiene. You know,
yeah.
where is my vibe and what is it doing? And if my vibe is icky and I'm in struggle and I'm working on something, I tend to not go out and interact with the world because I know what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah, that's sensible. That's sensible.
Yeah,
I'll
I
do the
know.
same. Yeah.
I, unless I have to, I will stay in and do my get myself into a better vibration. And then I do that by thinking better thoughts. This too shall pass. It just was a glitch. Okay, yeah, that's mine. Yeah. What can I think that's better than that? And find a thought that's just a little bit better. Oh, remember that time. Oh, that was so fun. And using your past to get yourself into a better vibration. You can do that. You can think about those holidays that you went on that were just brilliant, that everything just went well, and you saw things you never dreamed you'd see, and just think about it and feel the vibration of that. Then go to the grocery store. Watch what happens. People will walk up to you, people will talk to you, because if you're in a good vibration, people are drawn to you. They just are. They come right to you. I've gone to the grocery store in a really happy place before, and before I know it, there's somebody in front of me, there's somebody in back of me. I can't even go anymore. Somebody's inside of me. And so I was like, well, since we're all here, let's do class. How's everybody today?
Thank God.
And it's okay if you're in a struggle and you're struggling with something and something's hard. It's okay that you're in that struggle. We need those struggles to grow and evolve. It doesn't mean that you're being bad because your vibration's not good at that moment. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you need to be still and you need to deal with what you're dealing with. And this too shall pass. That's when I start. Okay, this too shall pass. I'm working on something. Give myself grace. Ow, this hurts.
That's it.
Yeah. And
That's
give
like
myself.
an analogy I often use: the sun in the sky. You are that radiance. Occasionally, you're gonna have clouds come, and rain and snow.
Rain.
It will pass. It will pass. The sun's still there. We know that, but that will pass. So we need to. It shall pass. Stand firm.
I just tell myself this too shall pass, and I will work my way back into a better vibration, and I just give myself time. And some things, some struggles I have are longer than a day, some are a week. I've noticed recently they don't last very long anymore. Usually it's just a couple hours because I'm getting better at putting myself into a better vibration so I don't get more of what I don't want.
That's beautiful though, Cheryl, that you can see that progress. And I've saw that in myself too, because we still get them. But now the turning back period is just very quick. It's just where before you were stuck, in weeks of ruts. And for people that are, just remember that everyone's the same, and it's just a case of tuning yourself a little bit. Like when you were talking just about, I was thinking of a guitar, playing a perfect rhythm, and then occasionally it goes out and you just have to retune it, you know what I mean? It's still fine. It just needs a bit of time. You're not going to play a song, are you, when it's out and the strings are all messed up? Just give it a bit of time, retune it all back in, and then go again. You'll be playing a beautiful melody. Yes. But we all do that, and
we fall in and out of these vibrations all the time. And I think that's all it is. A vibration anyway here, from what I can tell, from what it seems like a lot of conclusions, a lot of the scientists too, they're all coming to the same thing. It's all vibration, and that we're vibrational beings. And so that's what we understand, and our ears pick up vibration. I mean, so this is all about tuning ourselves into better places, and as we learn and struggle of getting better at that and watching it shape and mold your reality to where you don't get those as many negative things as you used to, because your vibration, once you, it's like something that's out of whack. If you keep putting it back in, put it back in, put it back in, eventually it's going to hold. And that vibration, you can carry a good positive vibration no matter what's going on around you. And that's just the work. As you do this work, this inner work, and I'm all about it because I've seen how it's transformed my life and other people's lives, is you keep tuning that into a better vibration. You keep working it, keep working. It eventually is going to hold. Then you can really be a light into the world that we all would love to be, because it's such a gratifying place to be. And we see a lot of lovely things happen and beauty in this world where before we saw none. And I just think that's a good place we can shut her down here. Chad, this is a beautiful talk.
Amen.
I love this.
Cheryl, you're a star. Thank you so much. All we can really do is carry this message: love, light, compassion for the self, work, tune, understand thyself, stop reflecting, give people the benefit of the doubt, understand trauma, understand people, see it in yourself,
Don't just resist and don't react.
Gently down the stream, people.
Yes.
Love and light.
Love and light. Wish you all well. Thank you for having me, Chad. This was wonderful.
Cheryl, that's amazing. It feels like we've been talking. I'll cut it off there as well. I'll end it in a minute, but that feels like we've been talking a lot longer than an hour and a half. I thought we was on like 3 hours. I thought we was on.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground, And at my age, that's really, it's about me too, and it's about others. It's all about all of it. And at the age I'm at, I would love to be able to give back. I didn't have any children, but I would love to give back the things that I've learned through my journey here, my sojourn on this one. I'd love to be able to, just give back. And if it helps just a few people, that's fine. And I've seen that if I can just verbalize it, because a lot of this is invisible. We can't see this process.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
non-physical. It's not a physical thing. And the mind is so complex. And
it's an illusion as well, isn't it? It's crazy the fact how people can react over a thought and all of this going on in the mind, and really it's not actually there.
No.
Do you know what, it's like fog, if anything. It's just like a foggy, unseen, but when you think it's not actually there. So it's all very strange, isn't it? It's all very strange when you think.
It's like using an invisible tool to function in a physical world. It's mind-bending how it works. And this is a very extreme technological thing here that we are in. But whatever it is, it freaking works.
Yeah.
It will be your school, whether you want it to be or not. It will.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, Joe, it's lovely to meet you on this round of the school, should I say. I would say we've met many a times before.
I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
we had an instant connection. When I first went back on you, I thought, oh, yeah.
And Martin, like you and Martin, I just really, when I watched it back, I just thought, wow, what? Like, honestly, I just thought, what people. And also, I liked how, because when you watch it back, you see how me and Martin, we're not, because we don't know each other. You see that at the start, near enough. I think you see us warm and warm until the end. We spoke for 2 hours. We're like mates. You know what I mean?
We're friends toward the end. Y'all had so many similar experiences to each other.
Yeah.
Y'all could really learn a lot. I hope you get to go to one of his events that's coming up and get to meet him in person, and y'all can hug next. I think that would be so good.